something I debated, really debated with it. I've got a few indie friends who have run these games successfully, and what they're saying is there are some people who do really well by the sort of constant stream of PR, but they tend to be the exceptions who are praised and things like that. And you sort of voice. For every one of those, there's thousands that just hit nowhere. And I've got, like I said, mates who've done this successfully. Actually, they're doing it full time. And what they said is these days, what they tend to do is focus on building a community. The word of mouth tends to do much better. And they also wouldn't advise showing or trying to do PR until you've got something that you can play. One of the problems I had here, something like a platformer game, you might get it nice and playable quickly. I had a problem here where before all the mechanics were in and the AI and all that sort of stuff was in, didn't feel like much of a game. So the big PR push is coming. Now the games playable and fun. But yeah, people were saying they haven't had a lot of luck with early goals, which is important. So I'm a central working copy. And then the other thing, like they're saying, is they're not getting a lot of hits from your traditional media. If you get on Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Kotaku, a place like that, you will get stuff. But a lot of they're seeing decreasing numbers from other outlets. What is increasing, though, is things like Twitter and Tumblr, things like that. Your player communities, you can find them and you can key on a certain thought leaders. If they start liking your game, the YouTube bloggers, things like that. YouTube bloggers, things like that. Yeah, your cynical Brits, that guy.
Also, don't you blog French?
Yeah, it's big French. Of course, it's
yeah. There's a reason I was asking because particularly at GBC I talked to Alexander Ferrucci who did Anti-Chamber. Right. His major thing was he started way early, like anywhere he could get the game, any expo he could try to meet with there, and he just kind of built up the relationship with the press. Because like Green Arcade reported like half a dozen articles on Anti-Chamber just because he had a relationship with the press and they liked him.
Sure.
But obviously he also had a playable.
Yeah. It's
as well.
There are different types of games. A similar thing comes into play when you look at Kickstarter. Some games do really well, some games don't, and I think the games that tend to do well are things that people can start playing immediately, and then it's like it's obviously going to add features, like a Minecraft, where you've got an early playable thing, and then it's going to be more, but it's fun at that moment. And then things with obviously the breakout ideas. Someone will have just such a cool idea that everyone loves it, it goes viral. Those are rare. And then the other one is something where you've got the name behind you. You've got a history. If you're Double Fine games, they're adventure game. Like they put it up and it just explodes. That kind of thing, you can get a lot from that. But a lot of people struggle. So with this game, it may have been the wrong choice. I decided to wait until I could give people something playable and then I'm push it. So I'm going to do a lot of PR. If it works out or not.
The thing I really like is the screen really sets such a nice atmosphere.
Yeah, I tried to focus heavily on atmosphere because I didn't have multiplayer, because I'm competing against people with huge budgets, huge teams. I thought, how can I do something? What can I focus on that I'm doing? And I thought, I'll do storyline and atmosphere and things like that. And I don't see a lot of that. And also something different, Cyberpunk, whereas most card games, a lot of them are high fantasy. There's no dragons in this one. So.
It makes me want to go home and watch Blade Runner.
Exactly. I watched a lot of Blade Runner and those kind of things when I was making this. I have the soundtracks on, just get through the mood, you're writing. Start swearing into the screen.
Yeah, look, I must say, I think it looks pretty nice art. Sort of it's really,
it's a big thing. Also, I took to heart one of the things another mate of mine said is a lot of people focus on content instead of polish. It's actually a mistake. You can actually, you don't need to have 100 levels. You don't need to have 50 weapons. Get 10 weapons and 30 levels and just make them really nice. Focus on the user feedback, the feel of the game, the sound, just make it lush. And that actually works better for people. So I try to focus on that.
Long term in the retro game, it's been 4 years since
yeah, I got that out. Like I said, I was making a role-playing game by myself for like 5 years. And it's like, this is about 10% done. This is not good numbers. So yeah. So I got that out of my system. And this was also, I said to myself, I want to make a commercial product. I've been working for other people making commercial games. I've gone through the whole process. I could see the mistakes I was making. let me start from scratch, scope it out. And it does something to your thinking when you put a limit. When you've got this much time. You're not a hobbyist is different. When you're a hobbyist and you go, I'm just going to make what I wanted to make all my life, and you don't put a time limit on it, you can sit there for 4 or 5 years. And I did do that. You make hard decisions when you're like, there's a year left, and you spend 2 months there. 10 months left. Tick, 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 tick. So, yeah, triage. Anyway, that's it. Any more questions? Anything else? Carry on.
Just on the community thing, I think it's very valuable to actually have a community, especially for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just recording for Andre.
Hi, Andrew. Shame.
There.
You still want to be here.
Yeah. And it's like, fuck it. To have a dedicated community, you say you have a board on another board.
It's essentially a shared forum. It's a forum with subboards on it. So it's a board for each game. There's a shared forum. It gets a certain amount of traffic, and there's overlap between types of games we like to make.
Okay. If you can get something dedicated, okay, and get people who are avid fans who can. One of the things people in a CCG sort of environment really like is feedback about what they think. Yeah. I think this should cost one more. I think that should be. If a lot of that congregate, you get very valuable feedback as well as rabid fandom.
Yes.
So yeah.
People have started. It's a small number at the moment because it's still in beta, but people start doing things like posting their favorite decks and arguing about whether this should cost more or cost less and stuff like that. One of the things that's quite nice as well is players discovered that it's quite easy to edit the.
Cool.
I decided saying, actually, this is how I've set up the cards, and I'm like, oh, which is cool because I've actually started incorporating some of their feedback.
That's great, yeah.
So it's also typically they could write their own campaigns if they wanted to.
You're gonna hide that in the final version, right?
Why?
True.
Sorry, Andre. Down with body. Why hide it? There's no point. But again, with the building of the community, I did this with the RPG game. Again, it's very, very difficult to get critical mass. You have to get critical mass to keep it going. And it's difficult to get critical mass if there's nothing playable, and if there's not new updates coming frequently. So I had that problem when I tried. I had my own dedicated forum, and I'm like, let's talk about this, and here's my ideas, and
ideas
it
don't
just
work.
It fizzles. So one of the reasons I've got the shared board right now is that people can bounce to other games. So it's a shared community, and when there's nothing to talk about on my game, they go to someone else's game, and then they'll come back, and so on and so forth. It's dedicated from my site. It's a direct link from my site. I've got a website up, Rogue Moon Studios, if you want to Google it. It's a website. Yeah, there's no reason to hide this. I would give them more.
Yeah, that's true.
I would expose all the art so they could just put their own art if they wanted to, and they wanted to make their own cards. I am using NGUI for Unity, which is a really awesome UI plugin that makes Unity's not suck. It really sucks by default. It put me off using Unity for a while, but just building the atlases and things like that NGUI needed, and the way it's certain things with the depth don't play well if they're in different atlases. So couldn't expose that. I would expose it if I could, because people like to tinker.
Yeah.
It just adds longevity, it adds discussion, it adds, that
It's how like Minecraft and everything that got big.
Exactly. I expose all of it.
I wouldn't underestimate the value of having an editor.
Yeah. I'd like to build an editor. It's one of those, it's just, there's a list of things I'd like to add and triage. I've got the core set. The idea here is I'll release this, and then in 4 or 5 months an expansion, so more story content, more cards, new mechanics, and maybe an editor, and things like that. Any more questions?
And if you plan to Steam, what's your release plans if you do?
Release plan? Okay, then this should be, okay, so get it all working, finish it up, blah, blah, blah. Put it on my website for sale, submit to all the portals. Steam is not something I have a choice in. You submit and they take you or they don't. If you're a big...
try green lighting or...
Yeah, it's the only avenue.
It's the only avenue now.
It's the only avenue now. They've shut down the other route. If you're a mainstream dev, you can submit directly to Steam. It used to be they'd take indie games and this team of however many would go through it at a glacial pace. Now they do. Now they get the community to vote at it, and then they go to kind of, not glacial, but it's not great. They're the bottleneck. But you have to go through green light. So it's going to be a popularity contest, and whether that will work for this game. There's some people argue
No
that.
harm trying, because even if it doesn't,
Exactly.
Yeah.
it generates a lot of interest for your site, because
Exactly.
the people who do like it still come to your site,
Yeah.
which I quite find.
RogueMoonStudios.com.
Sorry, what is that?
Rogue Moon Studios.
Rogue Moon.
Why is it plural?
Studios. Studios. Just Joseph, man. It's so yeah, with Steam Greenlight, I will submit, and as you said, it's good PR. You've got 4 million concurrent users on Steam at any one point. Some of them are looking Greenlight, so they'll learn about the game, nothing else. It's worth $100 if you credit. Submit to the other portals. You do have a problem with portals that often people have had experiences that they only take you once you've been proven to be popular somewhere else. So people have been bounced, and even people who've had successful games on Steam, their next game comes out and they go, well, sorry, go to Greenlight. It won't just it won't take you again. So then people have gone, they've got reviews, they've got all this sort of stuff, other people say they're good, and then they come back with the reviews and they go, oh, okay, other people say you're cool. So it's not necessarily a good filter.
There's quite a lot of indies complaining about that, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they've had 5 successful titles on Steam, and they must go through Greenlight.
Yeah.
However, they complained and they went through Greenlight in 3 days, so
Yeah.
it didn't really matter.
Well, they complain to generate themselves some press to get the green light.
Sometimes it works. I've seen people do bundles to get Greenlight votes. You know, this humble bundle type thing. You don't pay for it. You just, well, you've got to give them the moment, but they want Greenlight votes. That's what you do to get the bundle. It's not a perfect system.
But it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, and I think it's actually better than it was before, because it was essentially just a team of 10 people or something like that, sitting there reviewing, and obviously that's very subjective. It's going to be subjective with a big group, but it's now, there's a possibility that you will appeal to people who you wouldn't have in their team.
Well, they just basically did a revise of Greenlight, so they're no longer doing the 10 games a month batch, they're not doing...
Like, what, 2 games every 2 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, some of those.
Smaller number, but faster.
But when I talked to Carl Wilder, who was one of his games was like, take me on Steam, they're like, no. And they like shifted it to all the press, and it's like, okay, the press like, you take me on Steam, and they're like, yes.
Exactly.
So the thing was like, I think in the old days it was a bit easier to get the press behind you and to say, the press like me, okay, no, we'll take it. Whereas now, you have to go to the press has to go to the fans, and the fans have to go. It's a lot longer process to actually get on.
And you've got a problem these days where there's a lot of noise. You're getting a sort of a feedback loop where once you become popular, it's easier to get the press, so you get more attention, you become more popular, and it makes the popular game more popular, and it's not necessarily. What is you there? Just an sleep, I guess. Okay. And so it's not necessarily finding games that. So the idea is that Steam might give you discoverability for a game that is good but people don't know about. That I think is broken. I think it's the kind of thing where once you've known, it's easy to get on Steam.
Well, there's also the problem that the guys who bother to go to Greenlight are not actually representative of the average Steam purchaser. And that is one of the complete economic faults of it. So the popularity of Greenlight does not necessarily imply success or failure on Steam itself. But Steam have acknowledged some of these problems, but at the same time, it's still better than your options on Xbox or PlayStation right now, which are give us a lot of money and maybe.
It's definitely much better. Lots of indies have said that they're leaving Xbox. I think it's not doing so well for them. They're getting much better results on things like Steam. There's another problem you've come across there, what I mentioned, with it's not the type of game that they like there, because it's a queue. So it's the most popular first. They're going to vote for the type of games they like. So you may have a decent number of fans, but if someone else is making a game that's more in line with what the Steam community already likes, you could just be pushed to the bottom again and again and again. After that, anyway, so getting back to the original point, after that, I will spend some time pointing to tablets. And try there, see how it does. And then,
DLC.
Expansion, things like that. I'm also going to build more card games on this engine because I've spent a year and a half building it. I may as well make more stuff with it. I've got some ideas for other games with other mechanics.
Cool.
Cool.
Thanks for coming all the way from dirt, eh?
Yeah.